Hello, this is your author Mark coming to you live with another interesting YouTube discussion. Today's YouTube video will call this The End of America as We Know It. Now, I wasn't going to do this video today because I had no reason to, but I had a phone call from a good friend of mine and we talked about this and that and some other things. And I got to thinking, ladies and gentlemen, you know, in the news, whether you watch Fox News, whether you watch the BBC, you name it, or if you watch your local news, there's there are anti law enforcement riots going on in America today. And for example, Fox News says that this guy's behind it or this guy's behind it, and I'm saying that they're not wrong. However, in this particular video, I'm going to take you even deeper to show you in my opinion and according to my particular research, because I like to, as a book author, I wrote several books on the New World Order, global governance, etc. And I did do some very impressive research on this particular subject. And I'm going to take this discussion even further about the New World Order, global governance, etc. What I discovered was that the people behind the riots, of course, it is the left and the communists in America today. They're behind those riots, absolutely. But there's one more entity, and nobody is going to like what I'm going to say about this. But the other entity, besides the globalists and the communists, who are behind these riots, these pro-immigrant riots and anti-law enforcement riots that are going on here in America. The people behind these riots are the communists, the anarchists, but there's one more entity behind it, and that is the Christian religion. And now I know that this sounds controversial, what I just said. Yeah, and I'm going to give you evidence, and I'm going to link the articles down below to show you that most of my research in this area is correct. That is because the other entity that has to be addressed, and that Fox News and other news agencies do not address, unfortunately, is that the Christians and the Catholic Church and the Christian Church is behind the so-called pro-immigrant and anti-law enforcement riots. Now, you might be asking, Mark, did you take your medication today? Are you crazy? No. Believe me, ladies and gentlemen, I don't have to take any so-called medication because I know what I'm talking about. Now, see, the thing is, what you have to understand. Now, of course, I know that behind all these riots are such people as the communists, the New World Order, and the Christian Church. But what you have to understand is what you have to understand. How does a Christian Church backs those rioters, backs those anti-law enforcement riots, and their pro-immigrant riots? How does a Catholic and Christians back the left and the rioters? Because you have to understand, the Christian Church is not a Christian church anymore. They have been corrupted by the New World Order, the globalists, and also the communist left. in a, in this particular in our particular country in United States. But okay, but you have to understand. Now they're saying, Mark, you might be thinking to yourself, Mark, how can you say that 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 church uh, is actually backing the the anti law enforcement riots and they're pro immigrant riots? How can you say that they're behind it? Because all you have to do is follow the money. And now you might be asking, how do you think that those riots actually benefit the Christian church? And that is because, see, in reality, what you have to understand, whatever a Christian denomination, and I will say those Christian denominations who back those rioters, that, in my opinion, they don't really care about the plight of the immigrant and all that and the downtrodden. They don't care. All they care about is a couple of things. One, they care about all they care about is the collection plates, the collection plate on Sunday, and to make sure that the illegal immigrants sit in their pews and on Sunday, and they make sure that they bring the money for their collection plates. But but in reality, what you have to also understand, those organizations such as Catholic Charities and uh, some other Christian organizations that back this up, because Catholic, let's be brutally honest, Catholics are not the only ones. There's other Christian organizations who back those riders, and because they make money on they do make money on the illegal immigrants from providing services for them from them through Catholic charities, etc., etc. So what I'm trying to say is, a lot of things are being said about though that we have all these riots and all these other things, but what you have to realize is that because of those pro-immigrant and anti-law enforcement riots, and to be honest with you, America itself will never be the same. Now, I've had a talk with my friend, and I and unfortunately I didn't get a chance to tell him this, but and I was re-listening to the other talk show host, an ex-talk show host who's no longer with us. His name is Rush Limbaugh, but he said that America is great and there will never be a time to leave America because America is still an exceptional country, and I have to say to some degree I do agree with Rush Limbaugh, but on one way, but on the other hand, I have to disagree with him because now I'm also going to ask you this question: is it time for the people who have the know-how and they have the financial ways to do it? Is it time for the smart American people to get your passports and basically leave America? And I kind of disagree in this case with God rest his soul, Mr. Limbaugh, when he said that it will never be time to leave America. Because, but also you have to, we can say, oh, it's time to leave America, blah blah blah, but you have to also consider this variable in this particular discussion, and I already covered that Christian Catholics are behind those anti-law enforcement and pro-immigrant riots because they want to make the money. But what I'm saying is, some people say that it is time to leave America, get your passport, and to leave America and go live somewhere else. But here's another question that nobody is willing to ask, but I'm going to ask it in this particular discussion. We have to ask is which country will have us? Because okay, let's be honest here. I did do some honest research about this, and to be honest with you, those countries like Mexico and the other countries in Europe, they have a very strict, even Islamic countries like Egypt, like Bahrain, like United Arab Emirates. They have a very strict immigration policy now. But what we have to discuss here, a lot of people say, it's time to leave America because it's going down, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. But what you have to realize is that unfortunately, if you are an American, ladies and gentlemen, no country in the world will, how do I put this? No country in the world will accept you because you are an American. I mean, think a little bit of logic. I'm gonna use a little logic with me and follow the bouncing ball. That is, and I understand why those countries might be reluctant to accept Americans as their permanent residents or citizens or whatever. Because look, I know how those other countries think. They think, oh, you messed up your country, and you turn your country into a cesspool. What makes you think that the other presidents or prime ministers will allow you to turn their country into the same cesspool that you just left, so that you left behind? So the thing is, I mean, it is not so easy to say that it is time to leave America because America's fallen, because those other countries may not be as welcoming as you think, because, and then but on the other hand, ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about that the Christian church, because of the money and the greed and the money making schemes that they're doing in order to make money on the so-called illegal immigrants, what you have to understand is that in reality, those religious organizations such as the Christian church and etc., because there's other religious organizations who do this too, but in reality, they don't really care about the plight of the illegal immigrant or whatever. All they care about is the money that they make, that they're going to make on the illegal immigration racket, basically. And to be honest with you, I'm going to say this once again, that illegal immigration is a racket, because there are several parties in this world that illegal immigration does benefit. Now, and I'm going to end it with this, but the thing is, we talk about that, there are some parties that benefit from this illegal immigration, blah, 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 blah. But, and I am going to sound a little bit selfish, because, and, some people may think that, Mark, you're being selfish, you don't care about other people, and all that stuff. Well, let me tell you something. I have family here too. But and I am, and you know who you guys are, who's my family, but and and those of you who know me know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to mention no names here, but I'm asking myself a question, and I had a talk with with uh, with my friend over this too today. I said, and because our education system is collapsing because people are graduating from high school, from college, that they cannot read or write, but they still graduate. And I'm thinking to myself, gee, and I came up with this. I said to myself, gee, who is going to take? I said, we had a talk with my friend. I said, hey, my friend, did you ever think about the issue of who's going to take care of us in an old age? If at our old age, if people are graduating from grade school, high school, and even college, and they can't even read, and now on the other hand, in my opinion, and how come that in the greatest country in the world, like United States of America, how come, in my opinion, what I see is that an illegal immigrant gets treated better than an American citizen. Well, I know the answer to that, because, and the answer to that is yes. It's a because it is a money maker. This illegal immigration thing is a money maker racket. That's one thing. But what issue that we're going to have to address, and this might be a little bit more disturbing issue that I want to discuss, is basically, you ready for this big word? Population replacement. Okay? Because we all know that our birth rates in America and Europe, mind you, in Europe too, because Europe is right on our tail too, is basically dropped. So there are two things that there. Yes, it's a money making thing, but the thing is, what we have to remember is that, number one, there are three to four things that really are backing this how do you put these pro-immigrant and anti-law enforcement riots. One, and why do they like these illegal immigrants? And who does it matter? One, because nobody cares about the American sovereignty anymore. Those people who are behind those riots, they don't care about America anymore. They're just thinking about how much money we're going to make on it. Two, they don't care one iota where they live, because they have no concept, because they're all what we call internationalists now. So they don't even have a concept of a country. But what yeah. And when I asked my friend who's going to take care of us in our old age, and to be honest with you, this kind of worries me as well, because I'm thinking to myself, if we're going to if our population in America is going to be replaced, our education system will collapse, our financial system will collapse, and everything, and plus no other country will take you, even if you have the so-called American passport. So no country in the world will take you. And the other thing, we the American people have to worry about what is going to happen to us in the future, and we have to worry about what kind of a future will our children and our grandchildren inherit. I mean, because the education system, in my opinion, has collapsed. The the what do you call it, the law system, the lawlessness that's going on in this country. That's going to make this country collapse. The financial system's on its way out. So the question is, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to us? What are we left with? What are we left with, the American people? So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one.